Okay, I'm here outside the courthouse once again for the David hearing. Now today has been very controversial. There's been quite a lot of debate about whether or not different people from the media will get in. So I'm here, all right. I wasn't sure if it was going to be possible for me to come in, but I'm here. There's a lot of other media here, a lot of very serious mainstream looking media outside. And basically it's a very interesting situation today because they basically announced kind of a few days ago that, access to not the trial, of course, the hearing. A lot of people have been getting onto me for saying trial, that would be a misspeak. But a lot of people have been kind of talking about, who's going to be getting access. And they've basically changed this to kind of like a lottery system at the moment. And some people are upset. I've been speaking to a lot of people today. So they've changed the rules rather than being able to, definitely be able to just enter the trial as a member of the public. What's happened is they've turned it to a lottery system. I guess they were anticipating a lot of people being here. And there were a lot of people here this morning. I was in a line. There was quite a lot of people outside, more than usual. I'd never seen people queuing outside before the courthouse had opened. But it wasn't necessarily, an entire mob of people. But what was really interesting is they've turned it to a lottery system. So now there's only going to be 10 public seats. People are basically being asked to take a ticket and attend it as a lottery. So I've got my ticket here tucked in the back of my phone so I don't lose it. And we're going to be finding out whether I'm one of the 10 people who gets access to the hearing. So this is going to be going on 3 days in a row. They're going to basically be doing this back to back for 3 days. And, every day there'll be a new opportunity to get in. I believe there's 10 tickets. There's then like a standby list so that anybody that kind of doesn't get in, I think they're going to have an opportunity for up to 10 more people to essentially get inside. I'm kind of just outside here with all the kind of news vans and everything that's going on. It's very, very interesting right now. But we're really trying to just get to the bottom of what's going on. So a lot of people have been kind of upset about the fact that, it's not going to be as open as some of the previous hearings. There's been a lot of talk on Reddit about people saying that it's being kind of closed off to the public. I know Steve had quite a big post that he put up on X where he was saying he was very disappointed with how that went down. So I'll give you like a little update. I'm going to try and do like a little bit of like my normal style. I can't put anything on screen, but I've got my phone and I've got all the Reddit posts and everything that I was going to talk about. So this is a post here about the prelims. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. We're going to have to get some focus on that. You can pause and zoom in on that if you want to see what that is. But basically this post, it said upcoming prelims and limited seating to the public. So some people were saying we might not get any information from these prelims because the prelims are going to be locked down so tight. They only have 10 seats for public viewing, so they're trying to keep this under wraps. So a lot of people feel like it's kind of an effort that's being made to kind of keep some of this information under wraps. Now, I don't know if I would say that they're trying to keep information under wraps, but I think they're trying to control the courtroom. I think they're trying to stop it, becoming chaotic. There was a kind of a public statement that was issued that announced this. They also had some information about, certain clothing that wasn't allowed. You weren't allowed to do any activism. You're not allowed to talk. Like, they really don't want anybody coming in and disrupting the trial. I do think that makes sense. But at the same time, I think one of the things that was quite disappointing was just that, they seemingly kind of put together all, 10 slots for media. It seemed like that was only really offered to the mainstream media. There weren't any opportunities for any independent media to kind of get their slot, officiated. I've been basically, going through all of the motions to get the official press pass at the courthouse, and that wasn't approved at this stage. And I wasn't able to get my official name onto the media list, which was unfortunate. But at the same time, I'm okay with coming here as a member of the public and just reporting to you guys what's going on. But like I say, a lot of people are kind of upset. People on Reddit are sort of explaining how they basically don't want, maybe they don't feel like they don't want all of the information spreading rampant. Like, one of the key things that's been going on is that you can't, if you're a member of the media, you can have a laptop inside the court, but you can't tweet live. Obviously you can't do any recording, you can't take your camera or your microphone in there. But what's interesting is you can't even tweet live. So if you're in there with a laptop, you can't tweet exactly what's going on. And I would assume that's, I don't know, to stop any kind of hysteria or the information getting out quickly in a way that it shouldn't be getting allowed out. So what's probably going to happen is them 10 people that are the main kind of mainstream media reporters that are guaranteed to be in the courtroom, they're going to be writing down everything that goes down, or they're going to be pre-tweeting everything that is said, and as soon as they get out of the courtroom, they're going to be able to disseminate that information. So what I'm going to do, if I don't get into the hearing, I'm probably going to go back home. I'm probably going to go live. I've got kind of a very, very comprehensive list of all the media that are covering and that have been covering the situation and the hearings. And what I'll do is I'll basically go live and I'll get you the information that's coming out of the courtroom as soon as it comes out from all of the people that are there. I've got people that are here that I'm good with. I've got contacts over here. So I'll get you guys the information as soon as I possibly can. If I can't get in, I might be able to get in which case I will make copious amounts of notes and I will come out and basically let you guys know. But a lot of people are upset about this situation, even a lot of people that are here today. Obviously, Steve had quite a big, you know, I don't want to say rant, but he had kind of a long breakdown on X why he kind of disagreed with this and didn't think it was such a good idea. So basically they're saying, you know, these are kind of the comments on that Reddit thread. They're saying the interesting part, 10 public seats are literally going to be lottery drawn. So even if you showed up at 4 a.m. for a public seat, it's basically Lady Luck that's going to grant you a yellow badge, 1 of 10. And then they have 10 extra public space drawn if space allows for it. So the only thing is we can hope that literate people win the spots. Now, I feel like everyone here looks pretty literate. I don't know if we've got anyone that's illiterate here. But I would say, you know, I just hope that the people that win the spots are people that, you know, are getting that information out there quickly. I think everybody just wants to know what's going on. I believe we're going to hear some witness testimony at least one of these dates. You know, basically they're saying, you know, we just don't know who's going to get in there. We don't know who's going to be disseminating that information. So if I don't get in there, I'm going to get all of that info and I'm going to get that to you guys as quickly as possible. Now, what I do think is very, very interesting is that obviously we're waiting to hear what witnesses are going to be called. In the previous hearing, it was said that there were going to be witnesses. Beth Silverman, the DA, did tease that she was making sure that the scheduling allowed for her witnesses to come and speak in the court. So we are going to be hearing probably similar things that were heard from the grand jury. They were still making very, very serious efforts to have all of the grand jury testimony sealed. I think a lot of people have been trying to find out what's going on with that. But yeah, I think we're going to hear kind of that same information in a new format probably over these next few days. I think it is going to be a really rough one for David, if I'm completely honest with you. We've already heard a lot so far. There was these 40 terabytes, you know, illegal videos, all kinds of messed up stuff that was apparently, you know, found on his devices. And I wonder whether there's going to be an explanation of what some of those things were, whether there's going to be testimony from other people that are going to come and say what was going on behind the scenes with him. I don't know for sure, but I do think that it's going to be a rough couple of days for David for sure. So yeah, I was disappointed to hear about the lottery system, but at the same time, I'm going to participate and see how that goes. If it doesn't go well, then, you know, I'll probably have my thoughts on it. But it's a very interesting day. I just woke up to the last video that I did yesterday on the flight tickets that have been leaked. If anybody's seen that video before it got taken down, there's basically a set of United flight tickets for a minor that did belong to Celeste. We confirmed in the video that they were real. We went on the United website and requested a receipt for the confirmation number and the passenger name. And we checked, if you put in the wrong number, wrong name, if you make it up, it doesn't send you a receipt. We put in Celeste's last name, the booking number, reference number that was from the leaked flight ticket, and that did, it said it issued a receipt and it would confirm that the flight was real. So that was very interesting. But what happened is I woke up this morning and found out that that video had been removed. It said for harassment and cyberbullying on David, I guess, which is a little bit strange. But what is very, very interesting about that is that, you know, that flight ticket had a couple of addresses on it, which were blurred out. I blurred out those addresses. I made sure that that wasn't actually in the video, but I guess that didn't really make too much of a difference. So I wonder, it's probably likely that somebody had to do like a manual claim or a manual complaint to basically try and have that video taken down. And it was removed. Now, fortunately, I didn't get a strike, so I can still upload, because last time I had a strike, I was barred from uploading, I think, for a week. So that was quite disappointing, but I'm going to get to the bottom of it. I'm going to get that video re-uploaded today, but I feel like I do need to be more careful. I mean, I feel like that was unjustified, but clearly, I don't know, maybe there was just the way that I was talking about it or the way that I was explaining it wasn't right. But for it to kind of be flagged for harassment and cyberbullying on David was a little bit crazy. So that video was taken down, but thankfully it wasn't a strike. So I've got to give YouTube their props for not doing it as a strike, which would have been, it would have prevented me from uploading and speaking on this batch of hearings at all. So I think that would have been disastrous. But anyway, we're kind of out here with the media. I'm going to go check in with Mark the Shark before I wrap this up, and then I'll give you guys like a more comprehensive update after things have taken place. But here is the man, Mark. How you doing, man?
Good. How you doing?
I'm good.
Good,
So
good. How do you want to do this?
I'm just gonna talk to you. Let me throw you a microphone. Let me just get this right. I'm just looking at all the media, all the professional, the big dogs out here. Can I put this in your lapel?
Yeah.
Nice, man. So obviously we've connected, man. You're on a live stream too. Am I live on your live stream?
Yeah, we're both live right now.
Okay, amazing. All right. So yeah, man, we've connected here at a few dates previously. Obviously I've referenced your videos in a few of my videos, vice versa. You know, I feel like everybody's just trying to get to the bottom of this and get the information out there. You've done a great job of like going on location and following up at some of the places where, you know, some of these things kind of either occurred or where evidence was found, things like that. How are you feeling about the situation today? Particularly, I've just been talking to the audience about this thing with, you know, the lottery media access passes, things like that. Just what are your thoughts on that so far today?
Lotteries, I don't like it. It should be first come, first serve. You come here, come here early, you get a seat. The lottery, to me, it just seems a little unfair. For those that have been coming into court, for those that have been keeping up with the case, and it's just, it would suck if like none of us would get in, the ones that are really covering up the case and out here for true reasons and for justice for Celeste Riva. So that's the thing right now that is bothersome. If we don't get in, we're not going to get that coverage, that live coverage, as opposed to mainstream media. Nothing against mainstream media, but we're independent media, we're alternative media, and that's what the subscribers love. They love the raw, just uncut, unedited version of the news.
For sure, man. I feel like this has been an interesting case because I feel like when it first kicked off, there were a lot of people that didn't even know who David was. I've kind of been covering musicians that get legal cases for years. It's funny because a lot of people have kind of mistakenly referred to him as a rapper. He's not a rapper by any means, but obviously I've covered a lot of rap stars, but I've covered other kinds of musicians too. And it's definitely kind of slowly gotten a bigger thing. Obviously, he's very successful. He's had a lot of streams, but last year David was the most Googled person on earth, right? So it's definitely a case that's captured a lot of people's interest. I think a lot of people have been here. What do you think of this idea? I was just reacting to a Reddit post a minute ago where some people were saying, they felt like was there some kind of effort to hush up the information, or do you feel like really what the courthouse is just trying to do is like keep control of the fact that maybe hundreds of people might turn up now that this case has become such a big thing? Like, do you feel like there's something where maybe like they want to kind of slow down the information, not for any nefarious purposes, but more to stop any like hysteria or people kind of getting the wrong idea or getting the wrong information out there, and that could jeopardize the trial? Like, what are your thoughts on just that as far as them controlling the information?
That could be it. That could be it. Controlling the narrative. Again, it's hard to do that when you are live, when you are in there, you come out and it's raw and it's fresh in your mind. There's no edits, there's no cuts. Yeah, that'd be interesting to find out if that's like a tactic, to put the lottery so that way it's just random people and it's not the same usual people that come in, the streamers and from the public. So yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah, I feel like it's funny because, I've been covering this trial, I've been covering a few other criminal trials. I was at the federal courthouse for the Little Dirk trial last week. I was covering the Ant Hefe trial at the same courthouse in a different courtroom. And, it's interesting because I've begun to learn the American legal system and kind of how, there's really a lot of, it's a very transparent system. The fact that anybody can walk into the courthouse and attend proceedings and see justice being done publicly, I think is let me get that mic. Yeah, seeing justice be done publicly, I think that's really, really positive. And I think that, it's probably a tricky one because when there's this many people and this much interest in a case and there's limited space, I suppose lottery maybe is the most fair way they can do it. I wonder whether lottery was what they were doing for the OJ trial, when that was going on and stuff. But it's definitely disappointing to think that you maybe can't necessarily see any of those, public hearings that are supposed to be transparent, but then also they are making it accessible to some of the public. So maybe it's not necessarily a conspiracy or them trying to cover anything up like that. I don't know. What do you think?
Man, it's hard to tell right now, but yeah, it is all right. It is all right to come in. A courtroom's open to the public. We are the public. We are the eyes and the ears for the people. So we'll see what happens, man. I got my ticket. You got your ticket, and again, I really hope we get in. I really do. So that way we have that fresh, that fresh feel and that fresh insight into what happens in the courtroom. From the people that have been following us throughout this whole case, and yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. If I don't get in, let me interview you. If you get in,
vice versa. No, I feel like everybody out here is making deals. Everyone's cutting deals behind the scenes to see who's going to get that info. But what are you anticipating today? You thinking there's going to be, there's rumors that a witness might be called to testify at one of these days. Obviously, the grand jury testimony has been sealed, but some of that same information come out. Based on what you've covered so far, do you feel like you have a sense of the sorts of things that are going to come up?
Nothing. Yeah, I have no sense right now. The prosecution have done a great job at keeping everything tight, which I think would help protect the case. We saw it was 7 months until there was an arrest, and we thought, the public, there was nothing going on, and there was secret grand juries behind the scenes. There was an arrest, and so I don't know what to expect, really, because they have done a really good job at keeping everything close to the vest, and I think that's great. I think that is good.
For sure. Well, look, I think I'm going to get more updates from you later on. This is just like a little intro for, us basically waiting to find out what's going to happen. Just let the people know, if they don't already know, where they can find you, where they can catch up. You're live right now, so they need to tap in and, get the live stream. I've already been on the live stream this morning, so if people wanted the exclusive, they need to get up with you. Let them know.
Yeah, Mark the Shark 943 on YouTube. Check me out. And check out Trapmore Ross if you haven't already. He's been covering the case since day one. He's been out here in the court, and so mad respect for Trapmore Ross for keeping this story out there.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. So yeah, shout out to Mark, man. We just had a really good little catch up. Like I say, I'm going to find out what's going on with the lottery. We're out here with a lot of the media, a lot of the news organizations. It's really interesting and exciting to just keep track of everything that's going on. So I'll let you guys know what happens with the lottery and who ends up getting in here. I'm probably right in the way of somebody right now, so I'm going to move. But that is the latest. So yeah, we'll see what happens. And I'm very, very curious to see how it all develops. But thank you for watching this one. Catch you guys in the next one. I'm out. See you soon.
Good afternoon. My name is Nathan Hochman. I'm the Los Angeles County District Attorney. Today starts the day of the preliminary hearing of David Anthony Burke, the singer David, spelled D4VD. This preliminary hearing will last approximately 3 to 5 days, at which point we will be seeking to hold David to answer for 3 felony counts of which he has been charged. First-degree murder with special circumstances, the count of lewd and lascivious acts with a 13-year-old, and the count of mutilation of human remains. David will be facing a maximum punishment of life without the possibility of parole, or he is also death penalty eligible. The decision on whether or not to seek the death penalty has not been made at this point. Now, the point of a preliminary hearing is somewhat different than you actually perceive in the media, whether it's TV or the movies. Because what often happens in TV or the movies is you go from an immediate arrest into a trial. But in our system, and in California in particular, you have an intermediate step. That intermediate step is a preliminary hearing where effectively the prosecution's evidence is going to be tested before a judge, not a jury. The standard that we have to meet is not beyond a reasonable doubt at the preliminary hearing stage. It is probable cause. We are not obligated, nor will we be presenting all the evidence at a preliminary hearing that we will be presenting at a trial to prove David beyond a reasonable doubt guilty of the 3 felony charges of which he has been charged. So at the preliminary hearing, we will call a number of officers. We estimate there will be over 10 different witnesses, both officer testimony, coroner testimony, and there will be individual witnesses as well. And again, we can rely on hearsay and other things that won't be allowed to be relied on in an actual trial. The judge at the end of the presentation of the evidence, and again, this is evidence that can be cross-examined by a defense attorney, and that process has already been done. At the end of the presentation of all this evidence, the question will be, will David be held to answer on the 3 felony charges? We believe we will more than accomplish the evidentiary burden of probable cause at this point to hold David to answer on these 3 felony charges. At that point, if the judge does hold him to answer, we will file an information that will detail the actual 3 criminal charges. Thereafter, there will be a trial date that will be set, and David, if he so chooses, will proceed to trial. And we will prove at that point, beyond a reasonable doubt, that David committed these 3 crimes. And when, and we do not predict if, when he is convicted, we will then be seeking the sentence that we are allowed to seek by order of law, and we will let you know in a future date whether or not that sentence will also include the death penalty. So I wanted to take this opportunity as we're starting this preliminary hearing process to explain where the preliminary hearing fits in the process so people can understand as we are presenting evidence and it is being cross-examined what ultimately the standard is for the judge to determine, and and that's probable cause, not beyond a reasonable doubt. It is a judge that is doing this determination, not a jury at this point, and that there will subsequently be a trial when the judge holds David to answer on these 3 felony charges. When this preliminary hearing is over,
all right, so we're here at the recess, partway through the trial. I did get inside, I got a badge and everything. We managed to make it through. Thanks to the lottery, thanks to the press and the media team helping me and supporting me. It's very, very interesting. So we just heard from the DA. He gave a little bit of update and basically said some details about what they're doing, how they're pursuing the death penalty. I'm about to get in the car and just go for a very quick lunch meeting with somebody, but I'll give you a little bit more of an update once I get inside the car. But yeah, there's a lot going on. All right, folks, so I'm just in the back of the car. I'm about to go and get some lunch in between the trials. So we've got about an hour and a half break, and I've basically just got a crazy update on everything that's been going on. So just being inside the trial, we managed to get inside, even though there was a lot of controversy about this ticket lottery. I didn't win the ticket lottery, but I managed to get in on a media standby list. So thankfully, they were supporting independent media and making sure that some of the other people that weren't, on the mainstream guaranteed media list to get in there. And I really appreciate and respect that. I thought that was really positive, and I'm very thankful that the media team at the courthouse are just so helpful and cooperative, and were able to, help me get to where I needed to be. So there were some pretty major updates. I'll be honest with you, I'm going to do a massive update at the end of the day when I get home with all of my notes. But for now, this is just a quick little pre-update as I'm kind of moving around, about to go ahead and get some lunch. But basically, the major update that we saw was we saw the police body cam footage of the police visiting David's residence. There was a very controversial, incident where the police from the Riverside County Sheriffs had sent police from the LAPD or the LA County Sheriffs to Hollywood to go and investigate David's property. And while they were there, they asked him about Celeste. And we saw a very nervous David. I'll give you more details about it later with all my notes, but we saw kind of a very nervous David, sort of unsure of himself and, sort of saying, I thought she was 18. He said, some people have been saying she's 13, but I thought she was 18. She told me she was 18. And it was actually quite interesting because David's defense, they kind of clapped back and basically explained that, nowhere in the video did the officer say explicitly she's definitely 13. Even the officer kind of said, I think she's 13. So that was really up for debate. And honestly, it gave me pause a little bit to think, okay, there's a little bit more ammunition for defense on that particular incident than we maybe thought. So I thought that was very fascinating. And after that, the really most horrific stuff that we saw was the images of the remains that were found in the Tesla, in the body bags and the black trash bags in the trunk. It was very bad. It was just absolutely horrific. There were gasps inside the courtroom. Unfortunately, Celeste's family was actually in the court, and they just looked absolutely distraught. David was really just staring right ahead, looking at the screen. He wasn't looking away. It seemed to me that Blair Burke, his lawyer, was looking away quite a bit and kind of looking down at her notes. But David himself, he was kind of locked in, looking right at the screen. And obviously, we've heard these rumors and reports before that he's not going to be allowed any of his discovery in his cell. I don't know whether this might have even been the very first time that he had actually seen the state of Celeste that she was left in when she was recovered in the Tesla. So it was very disturbing, to be completely honest with you. And I was honestly shocked. There was real gasps in the courtroom. There was some very interesting moment. There were some laughs, not at Celeste or not at the evidence, but Beth Silverman, the district attorney, deputy district attorney, was very fiery. She clapped back at certain things. She kind of made a little bit of a mockery of some of the objections that were going on. And like I said, I've got all of my notes that I'm going to break down to you later, but I'm just going between places, going to grab a little bite to eat before I basically go into the next part of the trial and give you kind of a much bigger update at the end of the day. But we are seeing some absolutely harrowing scenes inside the court. It is a packed courtroom. It's absolutely packed to the brim. We're seeing kind of all kinds of evidence. We're seeing photographs of phones, cell phone records, numerous phones that were recovered. We're basically halfway through in this recess the evidence that relates to the search on David's house. They were saying that blood was found on the brickwork. We've not got to that section yet, but they're talking about phones that were seized, how they kind of rifled through David's property. There really is a lot of stuff going on, and it is extremely harrowing, some of the stuff that we're seeing. I mean, some of the stuff is honestly heartbreaking. I really can't believe it. I don't think I've ever seen anything so gruesome as those pictures of inside that bag and inside that Tesla. I don't think those images will ever be released public, rightly so. A lot of people in the courtroom were disgusted. People looked away. People gasped. It was really upsetting, to be honest with you. And I think just all of us just so solidified in just how horrible of a crime this was and just how much we need to see justice for Celeste. So I'm very, very interested to see where it develops. I'll leave this update here along with everything else that I've got. I'm going to try and finish my lunch real quick, just nearby, and then basically get back to the courthouse and give you guys another update. So once I've got that, I'll keep you guys posted. But this is kind of the information we've got from the trial so far, and it's honestly been just unbelievable day so far, and this is just day 1 of 3. So hopefully we can get back into the courtroom for day 2 and 3, but again, we're fighting this lottery system. We're dealing with, you know, a very, very packed courtroom, a lot of media from the mainstream, from the independent, a lot of members of the public that have come down to show their support. It's very, very interesting. So I'll keep you guys updated, give you guys an update very soon. Thank you for checking this one out, and yeah, I've got a lot of information coming. I'm writing notes on absolutely everything. Can't even remember everything off the top of my head right now, but there's a lot coming.